Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Remember, there is only one truly abysmal superhero film. But we're not going to talk about that today because we're talking about Eternals on Super Connectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burg of Pits.
Phil me and Perich.
Up from the pits himself, as if he were some sort of deviant. But are the deviants evil? Oh, you got to think this one through. This is a thinker's movie, so here's what I'll say. It's understandable why some people didn't like it, because, you know, if you're not smart, it's going to be hard for you. You know? If you were looking for a film that just had a superhero punching someone, they have superheroes punching people, but you know, you got to know why they're getting punched and what is the importance of being punched. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I'm on the pro side of this debate. Philip, where are you? Do you want to be my con, or are you gonna say, yeah, I liked it too, Charlie?
I mean, I got, probably be more interesting if I had a con, but no, I enjoyed the movie too. My only really big complaint is I said maybe they could have trimmed a couple minutes off this movie.
Yeah.
It's over an hour and a half, maybe tightened it up just a little bit.
I'm just going to go right out and say it. I did not need a sex scene between Icarus and Circe.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's like, what did that do aside from say, hey, see, there's heterosex in this too? I mean, honestly, to me, that's the problem, not the other people exist, but it's like, oh, well, I guess they have genitals in this universe, you know?
I mean, they were together, 5,000 years? I would have assumed they had intercourse, yes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's here's the thing. I didn't Fastos and his husband haven't been together 5,000 years. I still assume they've had this intercourse. You know?
Exactly.
I guess their point was to make you know that they all have parts, and the parts work. You know, it's and they are, you know. Oh my gosh! And by the way, everyone. So this is a spoilery review.
That's spoilers.
Yeah. So I mean, right there, I spoiled it. They have parts. You know, if that's gonna ruin the film for you to know that they had genitalia, consider this film. Although I'll be honest, I didn't say what genitalia they had. So arguably, you can still feel yourself relatively unspoiled by that, but you know, they have genitalia. They are perfect in every way. They are fully functional, as Data would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would assume they look normal because they pass among humans, so I would assume they look.
Oh yeah, I mean that is the real beauty of it. Is here's the thing: this is not Jack Kirby's Eternals. I think if Jack Kirby saw this, he would be like, well, that was a good choice. I don't think there's anything in this film that would have upset Jack Kirby in the slightest.
No. Why did people say there was?
No, but honestly, most people complaining, I don't think have ever read a Jack Kirby comic book. So, you know, I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like we've gotten to this point where the complaints are coming from inside the building. I don't know. They're just... They seem to be people that just want to complain, and it's like, But did you see movie? It was good,
And again, Kirby created them in the 70s for the comics. He had I don't think he had a thought in his head about a movie or anything. And then two, I mean, they've done subsequent series and they've tweaked stuff in each
Oh
series.
yeah.
So it's not like
Well, yeah, and to circle back on all of everything we always talk about, that's the biggest issue with any kind of creator rights is that sometimes there is more than one creator involved in making something what it becomes.
yeah.
But no, this was here's what else. Yeah, it was long. It was Hobbit long. There's no arguing it. It was Hobbit long, but like I said in my Dune review with Mosmans or over on Full Stream Ahead, you can watch it. Scroll down or scroll up, wherever it's going to be. Um, it ends in a good spot. My biggest complaint about the first Hobbit film was that it ended in a very awkward spot. It ended in just like, well, we're done, so we're going to say this. You don't have this moment where it's like, okay, I see the closure and I see where we're going next. I felt Dune had a closure, and we could see, oh, okay, so this is where he accepts the hero's quest, and the next movie is the hero's quest. And this one ends, honestly, oh my gosh, it ends on two completely different end credits that tell you here's where we're going here's the left turn and here's the right turn.
And even the regular ending too, it's just like,
Oh man, that was some what if level crazy.
mhm.
Especially with the whole the being is the whole of the sky. And it is just and it does show you when you're dealing with these cosmic beings, it's like size is not important. We exist and we are bigger than you. Just know that we are bigger than you.
I mean, did you like that change that like the Celestials actually talked to? Well, first it was just Ajak and then the Cersei, but it's like they actually talked to at least one of them. In the comics, it's like, oh, they're so mysterious. We don't know what they're thinking. All it is a thumbs up or a
Yeah.
thumbs down.
No, I did like that because I think it's helpful. It's
Yeah.
helpful in this medium because if they're inscrutable, then they just become the giant heads in Rick and Morty. Show us what you've got. Where it can be anything. This one, it's like no, it's clear. It's like no, we're doing this thing. This is the thing. This is what we're doing. Here's what happens. And I love it.
What else I was thinking might be some people's problems? I mean, besides like the same sex stuff and everything, it's just like in the very beginning of the movie, they basically tell you the Celestials created the universe. Do you think that maybe rubs some religious people the wrong way?
Well, no. All you have to do, first off, all you have to say is who created the Celestials.
True.
That's that. I mean, not for nothing. The doctrine of Word made flesh, applying to all of human history, is, no, this is an actual Catholic doctrine where they say, oh yeah, when Odin gets hung on a tree and dies and comes back, yeah, no, that was just the fact that this truth was given to you before the actual happenstance of Jesus dying and coming back. And so we now subsume all your bases now belong to us, as the Catholic Church would say. And so that's why, it integrated into European paganism so easily, because they said, yeah, sure, no, that sounds good. We can work with it. We can work with it. I mean, for goodness sakes, it came up through Rome, and Rome said, we got our own myths. Don't worry, we'll make you a deal on the myths. Keep all the myths, just make this guy Zeus. And then it's like, we can work with that.
And I mean,
so,
Arishem looked good. So I mean, they could do a Galactus now. They could do a proper Galactus now.
Yeah, no, Arishem looks great. And then honestly, they are so setting up Galactus with this, and especially the idea that the universe does want balance, and that it's these Celestials, these things that first came, that are trying to pull it back. Maybe they're going to even do some deeper lore of the Celestials, like Galen being the last survivors of the last iteration, and just be, no, we're the Celestials, we are the first. Who knows? Maybe the Celestials are all of Galactus's crew. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be brilliant?
Mhm.
Check out Defenders now, kids, in stores. I bet you they might hint at that. That yes, Galen, the captain of the ship, became Galactus, but what happened to everyone else on his ship?
And I think, and probably totally by coincidence, I believe the new issue of Eternals comes out this week too. So
Oh yeah, I mean it
coincidence.
is. Yeah, it's great. It's doing well at the box office, so that's good.
Well, that's what I was reading. Something they said, yeah, it should be able to hold the #1 spot for a few weeks at least. Because I think they said the only real competition it has this month is Ghostbusters
Yeah, which you know,
in a few weeks. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to Ghostbusters,
oh
quite
yeah,
frankly. But it's but I will see this again probably before I see Ghostbusters because I really enjoyed this.
yeah.
I went to the local theater because go to your local theater. And I watched it and I saw the matinee, which was nice. I bought the popcorn and soda as you do, so that it's all more money to these guys who are doing the
Mhm.
work. And yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautifully made film,
Oh yeah.
and you know, let's sort of what I find most interesting is how much of the fan theory was left on the table because there was a lot to unpack.
Oh yeah.
They're not going to tell the entire Dane Whitman chronology
I mean,
in this film
they
because they did,
they basically had to introduce 10 in Eternals too. So it's like,
yeah, and they did it so well. I mean, that was the thing when Ajax dies. Again, spoilers. We said that earlier, so don't
yeah.
don't blame me. When Ajax dies in like the first part of the movie, I was like, "What do you mean Ajax dead? There's a lot of movie left here. You're killing Selma Hayek right now."
Yeah.
I don't know if that works, but but then of course we are reintroduced to her through flashbacks, and oh my gosh, you want to know what my absolute favorite part of this film is?
Hmm.
How they handled the deviants,
Hmm. I know you were worried.
because
I know you were worried about that before we saw the movie.
I was very worried about it because it looked like they were just going to make the deviants
Monster.
unthinking monsters, which they did do, but not exactly. And that's why it was brilliant. Because they established this idea that first the Celestials created living creatures that could evolve and overcome whatever predators would stop humanity from existing. But then the deviants themselves then became the apex predators.
Hmm.
And then the idea that which I also love, the idea, first off, just the idea that the deviants return because of global warming, because humans don't care about the world on which they live, and so the glaciers are melting and these few deviants suddenly came back into existence. It's such a beautiful metaphor for the fact that they are trying to save these beings that don't want to be saved.
Well, the core of the Earth was heating up too because we had a celestial bacon in there too.
I mean, sure, it's infernal warming, not global warming.
It's both. I meant it's
Yeah,
both. It's both.
yeah. I actually once wrote a great sketch about that, which is the idea that the whole reason why when they say hell is full, the dead will walk the earth, it's because eventually the weight of human souls becomes too much in hell, that the compression intensifies the heat in hell that eventually melts the gates of hell, and that's why all the dead start to walk the earth. So it's doesn't sound like a great sketch, but it was super super nerdy, and I was very happy.
Right.
Um, but the idea that they melted the glaciers, and now these frozen deviants are now out there, and we get. I don't even know if they actually even called him Crow. I don't even know if he ever gets a name, because he doesn't get a voice until, spoilers, he kills Gilgamesh.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they were always sentient, they were always intelligent, but they couldn't communicate until they had gotten the gifts from the Celestials. Until in their praying, they had found themselves more energized with, or not the Celestials, but the Eternals, more, by that celestial energy. Which is interesting. Man. Oh, when they're... Oh, okay, so let's get back. Let's roll it back, because we open up in London. Well, actually, we open up in Mesopotamia, and this whole thing where the Eternals show up and they kill the first couple of deviants
7,000 years
with their finger guns, and they all have these special powers, including running fast, and and again, the Superman image in Icarus is so intense throughout this.
Oh, definitely. And I even said to Lil last night, I said, you get the feeling that maybe they're trying to make Angelina Jolie like their Wonder Woman, like the MCU Wonder Woman.
I mean, a really good Wonder Woman, quite frankly. I mean, that's the thing.
I just got that vibe. I just got the Wonder Woman vibe. I'm like, oh, they're trying to do that here.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything about the Eternals is everything. It's basically Marvel saying to DC, "Oh, you wanna make you wanna make Justice League films? Let us show you how it's done."
Yeah,
and, because between Makari and Thena and Icarus,
yeah.
I mean, they don't have a Batman, sure. Although, maybe that's what that's going to be
The
Black Knight's eventual role. Or maybe Khonshu. Because, I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. I think at the end, that is where our divergence is. I think we're going to be seeing Dane Whitman going on that terrestrial track.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see, I think the next place we see the Eternals will be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, where they say we're going to see Zeus, but I think we're going to see Zuras.
Maybe.
And that, I think, is the little bait and switch.
Oh, you mean when they get to see Thor and be like, oh, hello, young man?
Yeah. Wait, well, I'm sorry, because I know they had the guy from Gladiator playing Zeus. Is that in Love and Thunder, or is that in Guardians 3?
I don't remember. It might.
Yeah, I know that they have the guy from Gladiator coming back as Zeus in one of those two films. And one of those two films, like what I'm saying is, I will guarantee you, it might not be Zeus, it might be Zuras. And it might be that fellow Eternal Zuras, who is the father of Thanos and, as we see at the end of this, Eros. Star Fox. Oh, and can I just say I love Patton Oswalt Pitt? That was Patton Oswalt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good old Patton Oswalt. The man bleeds Marvel. That's all you can say. He is everything and everyone you want to be in the MCU. And now I just want him to meet Koenig. I want a whole scene with Pip and Koenig in the final Guardians of the Omniverse series film of the final Avengers of the Omniverse. And we just have Koenig and Pip saying, just having a little one-on-one where they're discussing their various traits and failures as sidekick characters.
But I was like, oh, I know they're doing it for the audience, when Pip's announcing him as, the brother of Thanos. But I'm like, if this was real life, I'm like, would you really want everyone to know you're the brother of Thanos? It's like, oh, hey, here's Hitler's brother. It's like, shut up.
Well, no, because he's the good one.
I guess, but
he's the less evil twin.
Oh, well, if people find that out when they first meet you, aren't they giving you the stink eye? Be like, oh, better watch this guy. Better keep our eye on this guy.
Well, but as everyone says, they say, wait, he had a brother? Because this is kind of the point here. And he's like the prince of, what did he say, magical world?
Was it
or mystery world or something like that? Yeah, it's the world in which, and it just establishes this idea. And this is always the idea that your galaxy. It's sort of like when you think about the idea of the Guardians of the Galaxy, or in a galaxy far, far away, and the empire that spans the galaxy, and you realize, like, oh, that's one galaxy of 100 billion galaxies in the universe. And yeah, so here's a local being from another galaxy that you have never heard of because it's a big place. And if anything, that is my biggest takeaway from this, is they really want you to understand it's a big place. Like, the world is a big place. So when you worry about why Luke Cage wasn't in that endgame fight, it's because nobody thought to think of him, because they hadn't met him yet. Because the world, the Earth, is still a big place.
Yeah.
And, he's off there doing his thing during this whole period. And yeah, maybe there's some news reports about it, but unless someone was actively looking for him, and of course, since S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of doing its own thing at the moment, because it got kind of disbanded after Winter Soldier, so no one's really watching the store. Luke Cage kind of flies under the radar. And so as they're putting everyone together, no one thinks, oh, make sure you get to Manhattan because there's a Luke Cage and a Jessica Jones and a Daredevil there. Because at the end of the day, everyone's like, why do we need these guys? Who are these people? I mean, yeah, I know we read the papers. We know there's the guy that can't be shot, but I don't know. Is it worth our logistical time to track these people down who may or may not have been blipped? We don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was Doctor Strange and Wong too. It's like, is that it? You wanted more?
Well, exactly. It's like we've already got a lot. We have many people here. Let's work with what we have. And they did it great in Endgame. And, and everyone says, well, Howard the Duck showed up. I think Howard the Duck just fell through the dang hole. I think when they were opening the holes, Howard the Duck was just there. Because if they're bringing all the Guardians and all the Asgardians, everybody there, I think Howard the Duck's just like, what? Yeah. Which is his origin. He's in a world he never made. And
that's interesting, though. You bring up Endgame. It's like, okay, so Thanos slowed down that Celestial from being born for an extra 5 years by doing this first snap. At the end of Endgame, if he had been able to do a snap again and undo it again, would Arishem have been like, oh yeah, you guys need to go take care of Thanos? This is
well, actually, well, the implication would be that basically since the Celestials predate the stones, we can assume the stones do not affect the Celestials.
No, but they wanted the population up to like feed that Celestial too. So are they just like, oh no, this is going to push our plans back another 10 years?
Yeah, well, actually, at least Thanos' second snap was to undo the universe itself. So I imagine then the Celestials would have gone, bad Thanos.
Yeah,
bad Thanos. Give me that gauntlet. This is not for little beings like you, little Thanos. And for what it's worth, that's what we get at the end of the film, is Arishem saying, like, you guys made a choice. We're going to decide if humanity is worthy of that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come back, just understand, we are the Celestials. Now, that would be interesting if when the Celestials come, Galactus shows up and says, I see why you're here. I know what you're doing. You guys get back in your line, because I'm freaking Galactus. And I hunger. Don't make me you guys.
And I wonder if we're going to do some kind of Infinity Watch thing, because I think they said Adam Warlock is coming. We have Pip. We have Gamora.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if they're
well, that was actually one of the things I found most interesting. Was Star Fox's uniform design looks a lot like Adam Warlock's uniform design.
Oh, I wonder if he'll be a part of them.
Yeah, because I kind of felt like it has the lightning bolt structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a red lightning bolt, not a yellow. It's red on gold, not gold on red.
Mm-hmm.
But I did notice that it wasn't like a straight V. I only saw it once so far, so maybe I'm misremembering it. Maybe they'll fix it before I see it again. Because sometimes they do that to you, people. Where they just make some tweaks before it goes out to the general public again. Your memories are there. But they say, no. That's the Mandela effect. No, it's not. I know what I saw. But that's the thing. I wonder how it's going to evolve. I'm very excited about Guardians 3. I'm very excited about Love and Thunder. I'm actually so much less excited about Spider-Man right now. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, we're gonna get multi.
I mean, I'm excited as much as I am about any Spider-Man. But it's like, I realize, because, they're talking about, this is the end of the Spider-Man, and he's going over to Sony again, and Morbius is going to be dealing with all of this, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, well.
No, I think what it is, I think it's Tom Holland's contract is coming up, so I think it's all negotiation tactics,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's fine. And like I said, I'm sure it is the end of the trilogy because, yes, that's what trilogy means. Oh, I do hope we get more Peter Dinklage in the Marvel Universe at some point because I did love his Etri character. I just want them to bring Etri. I know it never looks right when you do a giant character like that, but he was so perfect in it.
Unless he's the one who fixed Mjolnir.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe he will. It's like, oh yeah, we got all the pieces here, sir. Can you put them back together? Like, could someone hold the iris open on the star again for me? Oh, see, now that would be great. Is like if someone bakes some new hands. That's how you introduce Doctor Doom. There is a great what if Doctor Doom with the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Where when Doctor Strange comes there, he just says, "Oh, your hands don't work. Okay, I can fix that." Chops off his hands and gives him perfect robot hands. It's like, no, see, your hands work great now. What are you complaining about? It's like, they do. Okay, perfect.
Oh yeah.
Let me go back to being a surgeon. It's like, yeah. Occam's razor, my friend. Occam's razor. Oh, that is so our good friend, Dr. Doom. We were talking about this film.
So were they just using the metaphor that they're quote unquote robots, or is there some kind of mechanical essence to them?
Well, that's the well, it's sort of the. So here's basically how you can break it down. Every living thing is effectively a machine.
Yeah.
Like it's the Horton cell idea. That basically Professor Horton, rather than just building a robot, just created perfect artificial cells and then arranged those artificial cells to make an artificial human. And there it goes. Now it's a robot. Basically, if we ever actually get back to that artificial human in the glass chamber from Captain America, the First Avenger, and we actually realize that humans had unlocked how to build Celestials like 100 years before, that would be really cool. Where it's like, no, humans just figured this stuff out because humans are just that OP.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that. What was that World Engine or whatever in the current Eternals, and I always took it as just they died, they like basically just cloned them a new body, kind of like the X-Men thing, and they kind of just cloned them a new body and stuck their consciousness back in it.
Well, I mean, but the idea is that it doesn't matter,
because
if it's a robot or it's not a robot, it's still a manufactured creature.
The
difference about the Eternals, and that's the idea. So there's this idea about an evolutionary peak, and this is a concept I was recently hearing about. Basically, you assume the universe is, or you assume any species evolution is a number of peaks and valleys, and you can get to a certain peak, and on another peak is another trait, but you can't get to that trait from the peak you're at. You basically have to come back down off that peak to get that trait. You can't just suddenly grow wings because the evolutionary points needed to get wings are over on that other mountain. And you had to spec into wings early to get wings eventually. That, by the way, I'm doing all my Tier Zoo lines here because that is such a good YouTube series. I don't know if you've ever watched Tier Zoo, Phil, but it's basically, it's treating animal evolution as gameplay. And it's like, okay, this is how this system... And honestly, it is the most intelligent explanation of evolution I've ever heard. Because you follow me, like, oh yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Because it's all about what gives you advantages in the game, in the meta of whatever, in the urban meta or the jungle meta or the savannah meta, whatever world build you're working with, here are the traits that are going to give you advantages, and here are the ones that have disadvantages, and here's how you spec into all of those traits. So, but the idea was the Eternals were made perfect, so they could not evolve beyond their programming.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because they actually all do still evolve beyond their programming. And I think that is the real sticky wicket of it, is that you can't create life without allowing life to have chaos. And while the Eternals want all things in balance, as Thanos does, at the detriment of the Eternals, they want all things in balance towards their ends, their own reproduction, their own life, their own continuation. And that is the thing, is that the Eternals made creatures that were smarter than them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your classic Dr. Frankenstein. They made something, it became too powerful for them to control. So what the Eternals did is they just did what they do. They created another thing to be powerful enough to destroy the monster they created, the deviants. But then we find out that then these things that they've created also can evolve, can change, can become more than they were.
I mean, it's basically the Green Lanterns. I mean, the Guardians first created the Manhunter robots, and then when those went off the rails, they created the rings and gave them the sentient beings.
Yeah. Although that's also a mistake, because then those sentient beings can decide that the Guardians shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah.
And that's the problem when you're the Guardians. It's like, democracy is a great idea when you have all the guns. But as soon as you can let everyone else vote, suddenly democracy becomes problematic for those in power.
Yeah.
And they say, boy, we kind of missed the boat on this, didn't we? How do we maintain our aristocracy with others? And of course, in our real world, they use disinformation and, Fox News to try and hold on to power. But humans are a wily bunch. Okay. You guys do not have a full week of school this whole month, so relax. I know. Well, I did tell her that earlier. My son saying he doesn't want to go to school tomorrow. He does. I have to go to work. We all have to do things we don't want to do. But long story short, yes, I don't know about your child, but my children do not have a full week of school throughout November because they have Veterans Day, and then they have Thanksgiving and Puerto Rico Heritage Day.
Oh no, I know this week he has a full week. He does. I have Veterans Day off. He doesn't, so he's kind of.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, why does your school hate the veterans?
I don't know. Well, they were off this last Tuesday for
it was
voting and stuff. Yeah,
it was teachers' conferences and such.
Yeah.
All our teachers went down to Atlantic City again. They always do it they always do it as a 4-day weekend because they're going to Atlantic City, and teachers work hard. They deserve a 4-day weekend in Atlantic City. That is just my personal opinion.
But no, can I just say, I mean, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was kind of disappointed that when they formed the Unimind, it didn't look like a giant brain.
It sort of did. There was a little brain over there. They just didn't. They didn't relinquish their corporeal forms.
Yeah.
They just had a giant brain mass above the one running the Unimind.
Oh my!
Although I did love the debate about the Unimind name. I invented it. It's called a Unimind. You know, like Unimind, really? That's what we're calling it. Yeah, and honestly, to be fair, it is the joke that, for what it's worth, Jack Kirby had very comic book ideas
Mhm.
and very comic book designs, and they're beautiful and wonderful, and we would not have all that we have without them. But
Again, it was the 70s.
it was the 70s. It was like, yeah, man, Unimind. Smoke a doobie, have a Unimind. That's perfect.
Smoke
And smoked a doobie, man. It's great.
Oh, but poor
But yeah,
you know,
I mean,
we got that classic tale with Sprite of, like the immortal child who never grows up. Basically probably mentally grows up, but never physically.
oh yeah, and that was great, and I love how they solve it. Now, here's the real question:
Well, they
when
kind
we
of had
get to episode 2, is Sprite gonna be like, "Well, I don't have my powers." It's like, yeah, living and dying and growing is great because they have to do that because it's an
Well,
actress that is going to grow and live and die.
did, did
But
they did
does
they
she still have
say
her powers?
did they? I was gonna say did they say she doesn't have powers, or just that Cersei gave her immortality?
Well, Cersei gave her mortality,
Yes.
but does that mean, is that implied that she lost her powers? We don't see her use her powers again.
Mhm.
That's the thing, you know. Although I did like the implication in the credits where that Sprite was working with Houdini and casting illusions for him. Which is great. It's good to have a day job. Um, there's so much good in this. I loved Kingo. It's Kingo. Is it Kingo?
I think it's Kingo. Yeah,
Kingo, and
and his
his
sidekick guy. Yeah, yeah.
his sidekick is the best. I love that actor. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he is great in it. And just him as the Alfred, and this person. It's been an honor to serve you. It's like he thought I was a vampire and he tried to stake me a few times. which is also great because it also says, yeah, you can damage them, but their internal functionings aren't the same as humans.
Well, that's like at the
But
beginning. That's like at the beginning when Dane's like asking Cersei, "Are you a wizard like Doctor Strange?"
no, I am. What does she say? I'm absolutely normal or perfectly normal, which is its own little non-denial.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly normal. I am the perfect extension of normalcy among human beings. Sort of like I'm absolutely immunized, as Darren Rogers once said. Oh man! And they thought Dr. Oz was a bad choice for Jeopardy.
Oh.
Goodness, kids, we are lucky we got Mayim Bialik. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mayim forever. Gonna wave a little flag for it. But where was I?
Oh, but when they did the whole stake, he tried to stake me because he thought I was a vampire. Are they subtly throwing that out because are we getting vampire? Are we going to be getting vampire? Because I know they're doing the Blade thing, but that end credit scene with Dane, did you know who that voice was before?
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I wouldn't have known. I don't know how that actor sounds, per se.
Yeah, but I read later. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, I should know how he sounds because he was also Cottonmouth, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is again, it is this idea of them recasting
Again,
other
like
people in new roles, which is fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like Doctor Who's have shown up in other Doctor Who's. If you go through the history of Doctor Who, you'll say, oh yeah, there's there's Tom, there's they lampshaded it with Peter Capaldi, but they had actually done that before, where other Doctor Who's had showed up in other roles. And yeah, Cottonmouth, he was there for a bit, and then he was gone. If you bring Cottonmouth back as Blade, I don't think anyone's going to care.
No.
At most, it's going to be a joke if Blade ever meets Luke Cage. It's like, you look familiar. Say, really? You don't. Um, you
And
know.
and again, I mean, maybe some of the main ones, but I mean, the MCU is not going to bring back anyone who wasn't those main four or whatever.
No, the only ones that they
Yeah,
might bring back.
Oh,
Here's what I'm going to say is, I
Vincent
would love to see
D'Onofrio.
Chris Pratt back again. Not Chris Pratt, but Chris. Which Chris is it? Steve Rogers.
Oh, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. I would love to see them bring the actual Chris Evans, Jessica Alba, Fantastic Four back.
I don't know if they would do that. No, I meant just the Netflix stuff. I mean, besides those
Yeah.
main four and maybe Vincent D'Onofrio, I don't think they're going to ever bring any of the rest of them back.
Oh no, I think all. I mean, you, you mean Iron Fist? They may not bring Iron Fist back. Yes.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I do understand they may not bring Iron Fist back, but like
Well,
Luke Cage, Jessica Jones.
They killed Cottonmouth too. There's no need to bring him back anyway.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. And they, and the woman who played Black Mariah has already come back in another MCU thing. So they've established this idea people can have other faces, and that's not hard to do because, quite frankly, most comic book artists have about 4 to 5 faces each. And this is honestly, I'm going to tell you this right now. You look at John Byrne's Superman, you look at John Byrne's Reed Richards, it is the exact same face. It is just, you just redraw it and do different hair, and that is the whole of comic books. And the MCU is fine with that because they're going to establish who this next person is in that story.
So I wonder if this is like the start of like the supernatural corner. You have Blade, maybe Black Knight will be in there too now.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, not for nothing. I will guarantee you. So here's mark my words. We may not be in the Southgate Media Group network, but we can still use mark my words until Rob sues us. Mark my words. The next time we see Dan Whitman, will be in Moon Knight.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's going to be Dan Whitman and Blade facing vampires. And in that, as we are seeing in the comic books right now, we're going to see Moon Knight saying, no, vampires are travelers by the night and thereby under my protection. And that is going to be one of the that's going to be one of the conflicts in the Moon Knight series. And that's where we'll next see Dan Whitman. That's where we'll see Blade. And that's why Blade has been delayed. Because it's like saying, man, do we want to do a Blade movie? Or do we want to use him Black Widow style and just throw him in a bunch of movies?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing when you have these characters that are super cool, but have limited appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know what? I think a lot of people will go see a movie or a TV show that has Blade in it. I don't know if people are going to go see a Blade movie. And the same with Black Knight, the same thing with Moon Knight. I don't think people are going to be clamoring to see a Moon Knight movie. Maybe they'll see a Defenders movie. Maybe they'll see a Midnight Suns movie that has these characters in it. But, like Black Widow, you just put Black Widow on the label. There is a fan base that will go see it, but maybe not until we have enough built for her. Like, if they had done the Black Widow movie after Winter Soldier, I don't know if it would have been as big. I mean, obviously it wasn't as big regardless because of COVID, but I don't think it would have been a cultural zeitgeist the way that I think the actual Black Widow movie wound up being because we were waiting so long for it. Not that Black Widow was that much of a cultural zeitgeist because of everything that was going on around it.
But yeah, my turn. Mark my words. Yeah, in the next couple of years, we're gonna get something in the MCU, either vampire, zombie, whatever. Yeah, and we're gonna have.
We're getting the vampire. They've been teasing the vampires for a while. Yeah. They want to. You know what they want to do? They want to take Dracula from Universal because they can. Because all they need is a freak, and not for nothing. I'm gonna give you some jujitsu on this. So, Rob Zombie's The Munsters is coming, and one of the characters happens to be Dracula. Now, technically, it's Sam Dracula, but I bet you they'll call him Vlad Dracul. And here's what is unique about this particular Grandpa Munster: he has a mustache, and that iconic mustache, based off of the design of actual Vlad Dracul, Vlad Tepes, is the origin of the Marvel Universe's Dracula. And I think they're trying to copyright certain ideas about Dracula in over at Universal, so that when Marvel tries to do that, they can say, "Oh no, see, that's our Dracula. That Dracula is too similar to Grandpa Munster."
I mean, they don't even. I mean, they could do that, but I mean, they don't even need Dracula. I mean, who's that? Baron Blood or whatever. I mean,
Oh yeah, they could do Baron Blood.
I mean, you could even like, oh yeah, he fought Steve Rogers back in World War II or something, and now.
Well, they should bring Varney the Vampire back, and that's
they got
the
enough.
first vampire from Lemuria who was a deviant.
They don't even need Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that. They could bring Varney in, and that would be awesome. Honestly, I would live for Varney the Vampire, especially to establish that deviant backstory. That deviants could evolve and always could evolve, and did at one point have their own continent.
Well,
And maybe that's why Zurus and who's was it Arius, his brother, who went to Titan. That's why that's maybe that was their conflict, was that the deviant someone said, let's just let the deviants have a place to live. And maybe sort of like when Thor first got the thorn, he was like, I want the trolls to have a place because they're the one beings in our world that always cause trouble, and it is possibly because they have no homeland. And that maybe that was the idea, that they would give the deviants a homeland, and they would be oppressive and evil, but the fact of the matter is they could actually be at peace and evolve. There's lots of possibilities they could do.
And if you if you make the first vampire a deviant or whatever, eventually you could do like the next end game where you bring the space stuff and the supernatural stuff together in one big event or whatever.
There's infinite possibilities, Phil, and that's what's beautiful about it.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Man, I could literally talk about this film all day. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
No. I mean, yeah, Icarus appeared to be the most powerful Eternal, but I was gonna say, I thought Makari almost had him for a while there when she grabbed him and just.
Yeah.
I'm like, she punches him a couple million times. Could you just punch him like a million times and maybe
Yeah.
take him out?
And to be fair, that's because this Icarus doesn't necessarily have super speed. This Icarus lives in a more temporal world that Makari does not. Which is actually should be true about Superman and the Flash as well. That while Superman can run as fast as the Flash lives in the Speed Force.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that, because honestly, and you've seen that before with super speedsters. You saw that in what's that show with the Netflix show, the cartoon with J. Jonah Jameson as Superman.
Invincible.
Yeah, the only one that could really stand up to Omni-Man was Red Rush. That that speedster, that power, it's hard to overcome because that person just runs so fast and just hits you so fast. And I will say that this Makari is definitely faster than Makari in the normal Marvel universe. This is definitely a Speed Force level Makari, because there was a whole discussion recently about, is Makari or the Flash faster? And well, officially in Marvel Comics canon, the Flash is faster, because we all know Buried Alien is the fastest being in existence.
Yeah.
I think this Makari is possibly as fast as that. I think this Makari would have given Barry Allen a run for his money. So, literally, we're all going to brunch later, kids. Um, yeah, but no, I loved it. I loved when Fastos locked up Icarus.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? Like some sort of gravity trap or something?
Yeah, well, it was the Unimind bracelets, but then it's like it held his powers in place.
Oh yeah.
It was like like my rationalization. Oh, it Unimind himself. It's like, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? It just locked him in this loop that just kept his powers contained. Because once you can unlock that celestial energy, well, now we just need to engineer a way to make that celestial energy not be able to communicate. So that was awesome. Yeah, I mean, really, the way they did these characters was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am honestly worried about them that they got taken by Arishem. The three that were left on Earth. Interestingly enough, Sprite does not get taken. That it is who is it who gets taken? It is
Cersei,
Fastos, Kingo, and Circe. And also interesting is that they don't take Thena, Dro, and
off the Makari, off the ship.
Makari. That Thena, Dro, and Makari are allowed to leave.
Yeah.
And again, because obviously they could have taken any of them at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those three. Sprite is left on Earth. Obviously, and oh man, that Ebony Blade scene. Where clearly the Ebony Blade has life to it.
Mm-hmm.
We see him like reaching out to it, and it's like reaching towards him. And along those same lines, that when they're in Makari's little treasure room, and they said, "Is that the Ebony Blade?" No, it's Excalibur.
Well, yeah. Well, that Ebony Blade's cursed too. So.
Well, yeah, but it's like, but it implies that maybe it is Wakandan technology. Or not Wakandan, eternal technology.
Yeah.
Because, there is no magic, there is only super science. And the Chinese still won't show the film. So, I don't know. I say we go full Mephisto next time. They're not going to show it regardless. Just put Mephisto in it.
Well, maybe because what Cersei did to Sprite, maybe Sprite's off the off Arishem's radar, maybe.
Well, I think that Arishem could still find her if you wanted, but it no longer has purpose to him.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When he brings these three, it's like, whatever. you three were the instigators. And really, those three were the instigators, honestly. It was like Drew, Makari, and Thena. They were just sort of along for the ride. They were following their leader, but they weren't necessarily advocating or not advocating it. But Kingo did make a choice. He made a choice not to stand with Icarus. And that is the thing. He's like, I believe Icarus is right that we should let this happen. But I also believe that it's not my place. I can't hurt my family. Which is really a beautiful way to structure it.
Well, that's what I'm wondering too. I mean, we see Icarus fly into the sun, but we don't see him disintegrate. So it's like maybe
he's fine.
I was gonna say, does Arishem maybe have him in storage somewhere?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm sure they're all in storage.
Yeah.
I am certain the next time we see this, we're gonna meet both Gilgamesh and
Ajax
again. I mean, I don't doubt that because I'm sure their contracts allow for it. And I am sure that they can be brought back at any time because essentially they've established that physically they can recreate anyone.
Yeah.
Even Rhodey, so it's they can bring him back and they can even have a different face if we want.
But I mean, Icarus was trying to do Arishem's will. So I mean, if he was going to save anyone, I'm sure he was going to save Icarus.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like I'm sure he's backed up
Yeah.
because that was the point. Is like I'll review your tapes. I'll see if humans are really worth letting live for now. So I would imagine Eternals 2 will be called the Trial of the Celestials. And it is going to be them defending themselves and recreate, and we're going to get recreations, and it's going to be a courtroom drama because we haven't had a courtroom drama in the MCU yet, and I would love an MCU courtroom drama. We'll get She-Hulk as on the defense, Matt Murdock in prosecution. It's going to be brilliant.
It'd be interesting. I wonder if they do you think what if they didn't even do an Eternals 2, but like they just like scattered the Eternals like around the MCU, like Cersei's on whatever the next Avengers team is going to be, like the comics. It's like one of them goes with the Guardians of the Galaxy or something, something where they're just
Yeah. Well, I think they want to do more of that. I think they want to do a lot more team books because, quite frankly, why not? Why not do more teams? Because, yes, this character may not have the movie weight, but if there's one thing Guardians of the Galaxy taught us is that, you may not be able to make Gamora the movie, but you put Gamora in a film with Star-Lord and Drax and everybody else, and suddenly people watch it.
And I mean, come on, Disney Plus series with Kingo and his sidekick. Come on.
Oh, well, that would be great. I mean, that's a Holmes and Watson just waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Especially since his valet seems to be the smarter of the two.
How many cameras did you bring?
He brought in as many as he needed, man. Always bring a backup, He was shooting it on his phone by the end of it. The man knows his job, and he's going to do it. All right, Philip, do you have any comic books you want to talk about before the end of the episode?
No, like I think we said on Capes, it was a light week for Marvel, so yeah, really.
Yeah, it was. Okay. So I will leave everything else. I had a lot of indies, but you know what? Indies have been mentioned. They exist. Buy some independent books, kids, because that's where the next generation of comic book stories are coming from.
Again, next week, you got Capes and Super, so you got plenty of room, so.
Yes. All right, so, Philip, if they would like to reach out to us and talk to us about all the wonders we have talked about tonight, how can they find us?
The easiest way, if you want to get a hold of any of us, email capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can find all of our social medias for all the shows, the Facebook, YouTube, the YouTube channel, our Patreon. Again, please, if you can support us, we're out here on our own. We don't have any celestials backing us up. So yes, Patreon or merchandise, all of it is at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
Okay, and before we go, Philip, what's your thought on the film? Thumbs up. We'll be celestials. Thumbs up. Thumbs down. Thumb to the side. Maybe 3/4 up. Maybe 3/4 down. We're debating. Where do you find this film?
Again, I gave it a thumbs up. Like I said, my only problem was I just thought they could have tightened up the editing a little bit, made it a little shorter, but that's it,
Exactly. It's petty to complain about how long it is if it ends well.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll always say. So if it ends well, it ends well. Just be careful with the big soda. Make sure you pee first. That's the only rule. Always pee before you sit down.
Yes.
And I'm going to give it a thumbs up too. This is a certified fresh film from the Capes and Lunatics Network. Hopefully you all had thoughts. If you did, why don't you call that number Phil just gave us?
Or email us. I mean, you can email
us
written thoughts, audio. We can play. I can play it live. So
tell us why we are wrong, or tell us why we are right, or tell us why we are right, but we missed the big thing that was so important to you that we completely overlooked. Call us, write us. We would love to hear that. And you can even contact me specifically at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things. Although I think Stargirl's done that right now, I might pick up Legends of Tomorrow. And whatever else happens, I'll tweet stuff when I feel like it. At Charlie Esser, that's CHARLIE. ESSCR. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Super Connectivity, our movie review of The Eternals, an eternally great film. Why don't you come back again next week and see what we super connect with again? Good night.
Good night.
This was such a good Super Friends movie. I mean, if Zack Snyder had made this movie, I would say, perfect film, Zack.
Oh, nice.
This is the best evil Superman I've ever seen. I've seen them all.
Superman 3.